We've all been there. That moment of panic when you realize you've left your charger somewhere. But where? Is it in your hotel room, your rental car? Wherever it is, your battery is dying, and now you're stuck. But now you never have to worry about leaving your charger behind with the brand new Charger Leash. It's preset to ring as soon as you unplug your device. The alarm helps to remind you to unplug your cord and take it with you, ensuring you're never on the go without power. It's also a great anti-theft device that alerts you if someone else unplugs your phone at a public charging station, at an airport or a convention center. Never get stuck with a dead battery again. Charger Leash.
I joined because I just love being in a team where everybody kind of has the same likes and differences, because we all kind of are nerdy and like to game and have fun.
I believe in STEM. I think it's great for kids. It's hands-on. It teaches them how to problem solve.
I want to be a robotics engineer when I grow up, and I feel like this will give me a good thing to put on my college application, and B, will give me a good jump start on programming and building robots.
Welcome to Ladies of the Roundtable, episode 47. All 5 of us are here. We are ready to, locked and loaded, ready to go. I see Kim.
Hey.
With LDTX. I got page 6.
Hi, guys.
I think she's that way. Right?
Yeah.
Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo. I think she is...
Not in there.
somewhere?
Nope.
No.
Oh my God,
there.
there's 2 of me.
What happened?
What the hell, Ian?
Technical difficulties and
Pixie-ception.
Yay! I could leave. See you guys.
Pixie's taking
Nikki
over.
somewhere over there. Nikki, we'll get you in because I don't know what's going on. Producer man.
Somehow just became like
Get
double.
off the crystal blue.
I think
Man.
there's 2 of
And
me.
we're very happy to see Miss Bonks in the chat, guys. If you didn't know she was here, she is here. Give Bonks a shout out. Oh, she's over there putting the hand.
Look out.
Go ahead. So Nikki should pop up in chat anytime. But
that's
then
all right.
you can do a wave, princess wave.
There's a blank picture up there of me.
Oh,
But,
okay.
That's all right. Blank is fine. Maybe my camera's off.
If
Who
you're
knows?
new to the show, this is Ladies of the Roundtable, where we, us ladies, come together in a roundtable format and we keep it real. We discuss the things that we think are important and or have a very strong opinion on, as well as make each other laugh and giggle from time to time, and hopefully you too. Hey, welcome to the stream. I think that's Frost down there. Welcome back. I think I'm going to move over to our first topic because we know we're going to be talking for a while this evening. We got some things that are important. We're going to go over to Nikki first. Nikki's got an interesting topic that I think you guys are going to want to chat about. Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, it all started from this. I'm a big fanatical fan of Cloud Imperium Games' new game that's going to be coming out called Star Citizen. And inside the game, they're developing a technology called MobiGlass, which is how you're going to interact with the world around you, that virtual world. And it's essentially sits on your wrist, and it's like holographic, but it interacts with everything that you see in front of you. And then Microsoft did their Windows 10 presentation and introduced something called HoloLens. And I was looking around going, before I even saw this Windows 10 presentation going, wouldn't this be cool if they could bring this type of this type of technology into the real world, and then there on stage is a woman designing a helicopter that gets, in a holographic way, that gets printed out in 3D by a 3D printer and then flies on the stage. So it's one of these things where I've been saying that the next 10 years of computing are going to change our lives as much as the first 10 years of computing did, from the late 70s when the Apples and the Amiga, Commodores and the Tandys all ruled the world. Everything went real fast in that 10-year period, to where all of a sudden you had PCs. And now Samsung Watch last year to whatever comes out from another company this year, which will remain nameless. And now this stuff coming from Microsoft is just showing us that our lives are different. And what I ask you, you being the four lovely ladies with me today, is how do you feel about this? Everything that we shop for in the store already has these RFID tags on it. In the clothes that you're wearing right now might be an RFID tag that's sewn into it. So these type of things that right now are bulky glasses that you wear on your head and will eventually be just glasses or an implant in your eye that you'll be able to see everything. How do you feel about that? And does it excite you or does it scare you? And that's what I want to say. Yeah.
Wow, Kim.
Well, for me personally, I had a professor last semester that had a Google Glass, and he loved that thing. He wore them to class. He was looking around and taking pictures and videos of people while he was giving lecture, and I kind of thought they were a little dweeby, like looking at him. I was like, man, he looks bad. But you know what? I think the concept of it is amazing, because a lot of times I love taking pictures, and I wish that sometimes I could just blink and take a picture of what I'm seeing. And I think that wearable technology is becoming so good, and it's going to be a really great thing. I kind of hope they make things smaller, because right now, like I said, you kind of look like a dweeb walking around with these things on your glasses, like, hey, how you doing?
But the Microsoft thing is huge.
Yeah. I mean, they're just huge. And I mean, and of course, that's how it was with computers. Computers used to be ginormous, and now they can be really tiny. So, it's a process. I don't know if I would get something implanted into my eye. But, there are also people saying that, we'll get chips and stuff in our hand and be able to just pay with stuff with our hand or whatever. But yeah, I think that it's definitely going to develop very, very fast. And, it's gonna take over, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Sure. What do you think about it?
It kind of creeps me out in a way, because it's moving so fast. The technology is just lightning speed. Every other day there's something else that is, I don't want to say invasive, because it's not being pushed on me. I don't have to go out and buy it. But it is becoming more prevalent in my everyday life versus me being objective and going and putting it in my everyday life. The things that are coming out technology-wise are now being used everywhere. I don't have any choice but to conform. It's like the board, resistance is futile. As far as the Google Glass and things like that, I think that it got to come a little bit more fashion forward before I'm going to put it on and walk around.
Right.
But I could see, some of these younger kids, most definitely. I have seen them out in the real world and people walking around. I think that it's expensive still, so it's not like us everyday users are going to get a hold of it anytime soon. But I have seen a lot of people with Oculus Rift. A lot of kids getting Oculus Rift for Christmas, believe it or not, here, even
Really?
locally.
Even though it's a dev kit?
Yep. Even here locally, there's a lot of kids, a lot of parents that bought it for their kids that play video games. Even at anywhere from $300 to $600 a pop for a set, they still have them. Because the parents are like, this is awesome. My kid wants it. I'm going to get it. And I've seen some shops where you can walk in and they have an Oculus Rift set up with the not the treadmill, but whatever the thing is where you can walk on it and kind of be immersed in the game. I've seen those for demo models as well. So it's everywhere. I don't think I'm getting away from it. What do you think, Pixie?
I kind of disagree with Kim.
It reminds me of the really brick cell phones that you see in like the old episodes of Saved by the Bell. And that's kind of the thing that's amazing about it, is it's almost like too cool for it to be geeky in this like weird sub way, because it's like, oh, this is amazing technology. It does all of these things. So it's almost cool enough that like the geek factor makes you cooler in this weird way. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I would go Screech and wear them all day with like but like, I mean, it's just it's kind of amazing. And it's, you know, there are things that we see that are older that talk about, you know, all of the things that we're going to be able to do with technology. We're going to be able to order food with like touch screens. And I mean, like, thanks, Marty McFly. I'm still waiting on my flying cars, but you know, you got some other right for now. Like, and that's kind of the neatest thing about it, is that, you know, as we get older, we're consistently coming up with all of these like new and exciting ways to implement technology into our lives, and we're consistently improving on it. Even if it's minor, it's still changing.
Yeah. Ugh,
So,
I don't know. Go ahead,
we've got
Six.
some,
Oh, go ahead. Go
What
ahead,
did I
Kim. We
say,
got
Kim?
chat.
we've got some chat going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, the
Lively
chat's
chat tonight.
lively.
Yeah.
So
Quite a
Holly
few.
said, I'm just going to enjoy all of the technology we invent until AI takes over the world. And then Arcade is back. Arcade Android is back. And he says, I hope so, Nikki. The first 10 years of computing were so innovative and fun, but lately it seems to be slight improvements on pre-existing tech, solid-state drives. Either way, I'm excited for the future of computing.
I think I like Detective Noodle's comment on pizza flying in by swarms of drones. You mean pizza boys aren't already drones?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I think that my stance is I am not so excited for it. I definitely value the privacy that we have now that technology is not integrated into us. And I definitely have written quite a bit of dystopian fiction about the way that the world's going to go once these things start to take over. But I don't want to bring it too much of a down note. I do know that technology definitely has the capability of joining biology. And I know my boyfriend and me talk about this a lot. And, you know, it's definitely something that's a conversation that comes up a lot. There's actually bacteria that they can code, they can put codes into, and they will multiply, and later generations will still have that code in them. So you can integrate technology already, and you could pass messages on through genes, and it's really interesting. And I don't think that we have seen even a third, a quarter, an eighth of what's going to come. I do worry though about what kind of new things can kind of come about in a bad way from these things, and I do wonder if it's going to be used for good, or if, you know, if the ability to take a picture with the blink of an eye or pay with your hand is worth what we might be sacrificing. You know, it definitely doesn't have to be that way, but I get worried that it could. So.
Well, I definitely think it's all about conveniency, and that's what we want and we crave. So we're like, yeah, I want to pay with my hand. Like, I don't have to carry nothing. Like, you know, it's all about the conveniency of technology, and
Instant
I think that's
gratification.
Yep. Yeah, I think
Let's
that's.
just hope that this doesn't become a Wall-E situation.
So we're
Always
going to
goes
an
back to
extreme
Wall-E,
there.
doesn't it? Always goes back to Wall-E.
Wall-E.
WALL-E is a great movie. It should
Well,
always
I mean,
be on back
awesome.
to.
I mean, think about it. Like, how easy would it be if technology got good enough for us to become super fat and super lazy and literally do nothing? Like, they swim around in their chairs.
Well, also, that's what happens to your bone density when you don't exercise and that kind of gravitation. So it's also you have, like, the astronauts, the people who are in the space stations right now, they are working out almost nonstop to maintain their bone density and their muscle density. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble. You know,
So guys,
it's really
it is
serious
a-
business.
It's a PSA from us to you. Just because you're a gamer doesn't mean you can't do some exercise and get up from the chair every once in a
Right.
while and kind of stretch it out. You know what I'm
So
saying?
it's-
We just want you to be healthy.
I really expected this to go into like, hey, we could throw a holographic Monopoly game down on the table and play it with our
No, it's
hands.
just
And
like-
we're talking about astronauts working out and losing bone density. It's
just-
like, who
As
took the
gamer,
wind out of my sail?
when you win or you die, like do a set of
Oh
10
my
burpees.
God.
Your
Dude,
body's
like,
gonna thank
it's
you.
so
They
wrong.
Have we
back,
really gotten
just
this
do it.
dark?
You don't want to go into future tech with me, man.
Oh,
There's
man.
some Orwellian
Detective
place.
Noodle has a good comment.
Skynet's coming.
I see rapture when I see
Rapture. Yeah. Well,
technology.
see, but at least that has something to do with a game, right? That's cool.
Oh my god! Actually, big news. Somebody who worked for Irrational retweeted that we're going to be live tonight too.
Yeah, guys.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. Even
Hey,
though they
so-
broke you up.
Bioshock.
Kim, what's up with that? What's up with Noodle? What did
So
you say?
I really like Detective Noodle's comment. They said, then someone takes your hand and you're handless and poor.
Oh man.
And then Killa said, in the future, you don't steal purses, you steal hands.
Oh, you guys are getting real dark in that chat. We're gonna move it over to Kim.
Don't
To
get
Kim's
fat.
topic. We're gonna lighten it
Yay,
up with
Pink
Kim's
is back.
topic, so please.
All right, so I'm going to totally butcher this prefecture name. The Hokkaido Prefecture, which is the second largest prefecture in Japan, is implementing a no video game day. But while it says day, they're actually going to implement no video game day twice a month. Their reasoning is there are lower test scores in this prefecture, so they think if they say that kids can't play video games, their tests are going to go up, their test grades. So I scoured the internet and kind of saw what people had thought and kind of gathered my own opinion on it. And a lot of people were saying, so what? Other Japanese children don't play, just this one that it's affecting? So the no game day will begin on the first and third Sunday in February, and children are going to be encouraged to hang out with friends and family and not bring. So my thing is, basically they're saying that video games promote less social, and as we all know, that's not really true, because what are we doing here? We're talking about video games, we're talking about being social.
Right.
And they're also saying that, video games are the reason why they're not doing well in school. But there's been a highly just a rise in the belief that games are educational. And so that kind of puts that down too. So my question to y'all is, do you feel that this decision is justified, that they want to implement this no video game day? Or do you think it's just a big load of crap? Another question is the government really the people that should be deciding this for those children? Or should it be a parental issue? Do you think that you as parents should be regulating your children and saying, hey, you should study, or hey, you should spend more time with your family and your friends, rather than playing video games? And also, one more question. If you do think it's up to the government, how are they even going to implement that? How are they going to enforce it? Who knows?
Oh,
So,
my.
Culture there.
Yeah. Nikki, what do you think?
Well, when I was reading through the notes and I was sitting here trying to go through the Google, because I've heard this before. I heard this in a out in the Midwest. I think they did it in a certain school district, that they were hoping that the parents would help promote this because they saw the same thing. So this is the first time I saw it, and having a very addicted 14-year-old boy that plays the Xbox till 2 o'clock in the morning over the weekends, it's something that I definitely can support as a parent, but not support as the government forcing me to do it for my children. It's I don't want that being them telling me what to do. Do I think? Yeah, for certain reasons that you mentioned in there, it promotes social interaction, right? And our social interaction these days is here. How many people walk through the streets like this? It's
Yeah,
total
exactly.
different way that when you talk about, I just talked to my boyfriend, or I just talked to my girlfriend, I just talked to my wife. It's 90%. They had texted somebody. And I don't think that we're building social skills through that. So I do think that breaking away from game parents should do. And I know the culture is different in Asia with this, that people get addicted. And we're one of the people that did it to Japan by throwing pachinko machines everywhere after the nothing to do. We were rebuilding, so they did it, right? So we built that addiction into them. But
Pachinko
I'm not-
machine.
We're
She
like,
just
here
took
you
it
go, have a
way
pachinko
back.
machine.
yeah, well, seriously, and there was a huge addiction to those back in the 40s and 50s. And that's and they had to make it easy and winnable so people would keep playing. I am of the mindset that I don't think games are bad for people. I think games do promote certain skills, especially games that are educational and historical and build eye-hand coordination. There's a lot of them out there, right? But I think that games like alcohol, like anything that's addictive, need to be limited. I just don't think that, the kids are getting bad grades because of this. Maybe your school just sucks. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know what they're.
The school.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're not making learning interesting enough. Maybe you need to embrace technology to teach the kids. Maybe you need to think of a new way. So while I do think that, yes, limiting time is right, but coming from a government, I don't think that's right. It's stay off my, yeah.
So before we move on, we've got some interesting things in chat too. So Arcade Android said, I would play DS in the bathroom. If it wasn't a video game day, I would play DS in public with other peeps. So once again, promoting that it's social.
Right.
Chrissy said parents should step it up. A lot of people are agreeing that it's parents.
Right.
Torpedo? Yeah. Parents need to regulate game usage. Yeah. Mouth says it's up to people to balance their lives out, not anyone else. You need to balance friends/family with your school and work and gaming, and also your spouse and significant other. And Killa said something earlier that I saw, and he was like, "Why don't people just try being parents?"
I have one comment though, if I could just make it. I know I had my time.
Yeah, go for it.
Carmen, does this not sound like what our parents and people were saying about us when we were these kids' age, watching TV all the time?
Yes.
It's the same thing,
If it's
right?
not one thing, it's another. Yes,
Right.
you are
And
correct.
we had to
You
be
can
limited from
replace
the
video
TV.
games with TV, TV with radio,
goodness.
and
Right.
so forth and so on.
Seduction of the
Right.
innocent. Blame comic
Right.
books. It's,
Right.
and before it was comic books, they blamed masturbation. It's just
Hey.
they blame anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. It's just like,
We
yeah.
went there. Yes, we did. We totally went there.
You said
Masturbation
masturbation
makes you
on a
neurotic.
family show. Oh, wait,
No.
this isn't a family
This is
show.
not a family show.
Hashtag.
Hashtag not
Do
a
some
family show.
research. Do
That's a
some research.
masturbator. They
Some
work down at the
crazy
pier
out
and they
there.
fish hooks.
Man.
Yeah.
Paige
Alright,
dropped
well-
that truth bomb.
Definitely, I don't think it should come from the government. I do know video game days. I believe in balance in general, and I try to enforce that in my own life. Nickelodeon does something like that for children. Obviously, it's not government sanctioned, but Nick Jr. will have 2 days a year where they don't play any TV shows, and for an hour they have something posted, go outside and play. And they try to do it on a nice day and, have your kids not look at television. I don't think that it's bad for a company that, especially one that aims towards children, to dedicate an hour once in a while and say, hey, you know what? It's a good time to go out and play. Something like Minecraft, I could see that happening for. But I can't see that being justified from a government perspective.
Yeah.
I don't like where that goes. I don't, and I definitely think that they should be looking into the schools. I agree 100% with Nikki. And how are they treating the teachers? How are they treating the students? What are they giving as incentives? Are they just looking at test scores? Are you forcing children every day to learn how to fill in bubbles? Or are you actually teaching them something?
Yep.
huge, huge issue that we have here in America. And I think that if they tried to say to us, oh, today is no video game day, today is no television day, yeah, sure, maybe make it a holiday, but how are you going to enforce that? And I'd like to see them try. I'd like to see them try.
It's still going to happen, whether they want it to or not.
Yeah, it just seems frivolous to me. It doesn't seem like it has much of an impact, and it seems like a cop-out for them to not look deeper into what the actual issue is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know. Pixie, what do you think?
This is something that would be totally enforceable on a school campus. I see nothing wrong with that. When I was in high school, if I brought like my video game devices or a cell phone into a classroom and I got caught with it, it was no longer in my possession.
Yeah.
And very often parents had to come and pick them up. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that a lot of times kids get away with a lot in schools and they get distracted. As far as enforcing this, there is no way monetarily that this is ever going to be worth the money, because in the end, you can never make a child learn if they do not want to learn. It is the same problem with acts like No Child Left Behind in the United States. It is an underfunded program that does absolutely nothing but punish teachers for students who are unwilling to learn. Like, it's a simple fact. Like, you can't... you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah.
You just can't.
And
when it comes to enforcing this, what are you going to do? Are you going to send a cop home with all of these kids? Like, how much money are you wasting from the government?
Or are you going to write citations if you see somebody doing something like that? Are you going to be summoning people? You know, not to cut you off, sorry. I just, like, that's the only thing I see that is being a cheap money grab in that situation. Now that you brought up that point. Are you gonna be ticketing children and sending them to a juvenile court judge because they played their DS at Starbucks?
Slap the DS
no, I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, really, this is an issue where parents need to stop being polite and they need to start getting real with their kids.
Real world.
Look, you're being a little shit. You're going to do this, or you cannot have this. Like, it's very Pavlovian, but with children it works. This is what needs to happen.
And it's funny that you said that, Pixie, about how, you know, you can't teach a kid anything if they don't want to learn. Because there was a tweet that was sent out about this by... and I have the translation. It said, I told my son about Hokkaido's no video game day. And then this conversation, and he said, the son said, even if you prevent kids from playing games, that doesn't mean they'll automatically study, right? And to which he told his son that's correct. And he said, and even if they will study, and even if you prevent them, kids who are dumb are still dumb, right? And he told his son, and again, yeah, that's correct. And then the son said, is the person who came up with this stupid or something? And you know how old that kid was?
5.
He was 6.
Yeah. Wow, it was close.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know, though, if I think kids are dumb. I think that I haven't met a child in my experience, and I have worked with children who has an incapability of learning. It's just a matter of learning the language of speaking to a child, and it has a lot to do with psychology, and it has a lot to do with patience. And not everybody has patience. Not everybody should be a parent or a teacher in that respect, but that's going to take more than a day. That's going to take funding your schools and funding our children can be educated, especially the ones who need more time.
Yeah.
And that's to put money into that area, not take video games away. It's just ridiculous. I don't know. What do you think, Carl?
I think you guys covered some of the points that I would have mentioned, you know, how this is very difficult to manage, maintain, and control. I do want to make the point that this is happening in a whole other culture that is very different from ours, which is very much more immersed in video games than we ever thought we could be. And I think that it would make it even harder to keep the regulations however they would see fit, whatever those would be. But in the, in the culture that they live in, the government is very involved in their everyday life, unlike here in the United States. So we could make all the comments that we want and say and laugh about it. How would they enforce it here? Because, things would be very, very different. But over there, it is not uncommon for the government to come into their house and regulate. And when I say regulate, not in a nice way, and come in and say, I'm going to give you a ticket. They're just things taken away and privileges that you just don't have. So it could very well happen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that it's justified, but it is a different culture and different lifestyle. I agree with all of you ladies. I wish they would bring it. Come on, write me a ticket. Come to my house, see what happens. I'm gonna be on the news, because Shriv don't play that. You can't take my games away or tell me that my child cannot play if she wants to play, because I am the parent, and I make those decisions. Now, if I'm doing something that is harmful to my child, like I'm sitting and making her play hours and hours and taking her out of school because I want her to do something that is, my privilege as her parent, then there are things in place to make sure that I'm acting appropriately and I'm not losing my mind. But again, I really couldn't see how this would happen in the United States without some kind of major uproar. I mean, we have a hissy fit over something being blue in a game versus pink, okay? There's a major problem all over the place. If they tried this, I don't know. It would be definitely mainstream news, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I think it'd bring a lot of people together. So that much.
Agreed.
You'd see who cares.
Right? You would see who really cares, who's paying attention.
Yeah. And I mean, you'd see who really cares about how far government reach can go. And I think there's a lot of people in America, our history is deeply embedded in maintaining your liberties and maintaining your autonomy. And people are not happy when that gets stripped away. And I am right there with them. I'm not either. So I think that who's gonna go? Me or you, Carmen? Think that my topic should come up, or you want to go?
I think I'm gonna go next.
Okay. Because we have my topics loaded.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna actually have Ian throw a link up in the chat so you guys can follow along if you want. My topic happens to be actually. I read an article, just like everybody else in the chat. I read an article about a actual conference, and this conference had Leah Alexander. If you don't know who she is, she's a Game of Sutra writer. You guys should all know what that website is. If you don't, go over and take a look. It's just a website like any other that we have that has news and all kinds of media in our community. Gaming, pop culture. She actually was in a conference talking about stands for her journalistic integrity, and it's really easy for somebody to hide behind a keyboard and make some comments and troll you and really get up in arms. Well, it's not so easy when you're in person sometimes to do that, because you don't see that often. But one of the people that were doing the Q&A stood up and asked her a very serious question about her journalistic integrity. And asked about your own personal beliefs, sticking them in a story, and do you think that that's fair? And do you think that's just to do that? And she turned around. I'm not going to read the whole comment. You guys can read it. And basically what she says, if you don't believe that somebody should insert their opinion, I believe that I should. And if you don't want to read something such there as my opinion, then maybe you should go over and read a different particular website, and that website being GameSpot. I mean, I could go really long here, but I'm not. Do you think, my question to you guys in chat and you guys on the panel is, do you think it's justified for someone who is uncomfortable with the question to throw someone else under the bus, that someone else being another media outlet and or another reporter to try to get out of a situation? So I'm gonna go with 6 first.
I don't think that that is okay. I will say. I think that it's a cop out. I don't think that her opinion necessarily is wrong in that there should be the ability to have editorial, have opinion pieces. And I think that the reader, you should be able, as a writer, to be able to anticipate that your reader can know the difference between an opinion article and a factual article. There definitely are outlets out there that like to blend the two and hide it under the guise of a news station, and it's not really news, it's opinion. But you should be able to express opinions, and people should have the freedom to express their opinions back to you. They should be able to not follow you anymore. They should be able to tell you that they don't agree or why they don't agree, and be able to have, civilized discussion. I don't believe that you should be able to fire somebody necessarily for an opinion, something along those lines, but that's a little bit off topic. And in that, she kind of crossed a line by bringing in another publication. And,
right.
It's one thing if you have me and Shriv, we have different opinions, right? And somebody comes to me in a panel, and they know, because we have a repertoire on the show, that we differ in this opinion. I could say, well, this is my opinion. If you don't like that, maybe Shriv would have a better alignment with where you go. And there's ways to be respectful in that regard. It's not shining a good light on this reporter by doing that. And I think that there's a lot of people who would be able to see past that pretty easily and not be too happy with the way that she handled that, and rightfully so. I could go on about that. A lot of opinions on journalistic ethics. Being a writer, I did write a piece on ethics during Gamergate that did really well. It was very successful. It was very well shared, very, very well received. I could link that in the chat if anybody wants, if they want to read that. But the bottom line is, what she did isn't classy, let's say. It's not necessarily
not
wrong.
keeping it classy. I hear
it's
you.
Not necessarily wrong. They're both in the public eye, both representing brands, and they're competing brands. It's not necessarily wrong to say that, but it's definitely not something that I would condone or that I would do myself personally.
What do you think, Nikki?
Not outside of a joke, at least. I have joked about that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure that the context is clear that I was joking, so let's just hope.
So the art of deflection?
Yes, the art of deflection.
Answering a question by pointing out somebody else's failures or somebody else's misgivings. Isn't that as old as humankind? I don't agree with it.
I mean,
but
she could be president with this answer.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's I don't condone it, but I accept it. Does that make sense? Because it's somebody that obviously doesn't know, they weren't confident. They weren't, I think that this is one of those things where maybe it's a much to do about nothing. The person probably needs to be beaten up for not being able to handle the question, not for deflecting it to somebody else, How are you in this position if you can't answer a single question? So I know a lot of people. So, Paige can't answer questions either, Just kidding. It's like, it's like, no, but not, yeah, I know you do. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like I don't want to talk about it because it doesn't matter as much as some of the other things that we were talking about, but it does, because it points out a very big issue with maybe not our generation, but with and I'm talking about to Carmen, to Shiv, because we have been poked and prodded about being able to, take responsibility for ourselves and answer the questions and explain our actions and our intentions. And I think that there's a lot of younger generation people that use that as a way all the time. I see it at work when somebody does something wrong, and it's like, You know, I even saw it today when one of the girls came in like an hour late, and her answer was, well, such and such comes in late all the time. So I see this all the time. I'm not saying it's a generational gap. I'm just saying I see it more in younger people. Maybe that's just where things are going these days. Sorry to be so flighty about it. My migraine is killing me.
No, that's a very good answer. I think that's a solid
Yeah.
answer because
Yeah.
really you guys need to
Yeah.
read the article to hear what her response was. And I'm not saying that she
Yeah.
did not respond appropriately and skirt around the issue. What I'm saying is question, but at the end of her statement, she decided to go for the jugular on another outlet, which in my mind wasn't necessary because I think she answered the question appropriately. But again, it is all how, like you said, opinion. It's my opinion on how I read it, and I wasn't there, so I'm taking it in the context that was reported in this opinion piece. Pixie, what do you think?
So simply put, this is just unprofessional. I don't care who you are or who you work for. Trashing, like this is just not okay. It really doesn't matter to me if you're like Best Buy or you're Samsung making fun of another company. Like, this is not okay. This is not professional. You can in fact get your points across without doing this. I have no problem with openly stating that, you know, video games can be subjective and that opinions matter. And it is very, very hard to truly be unbiased, as any journalist can tell you. It really is, because your personal opinions are always going to affect you and what you say and how you say things. And people don't have to agree that, you know, she might not, you know, her articles might not be intended for some people. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But it is an issue when basically you're in the public eye and you put out information like this, because not only are you ridiculing someone else, but you're opening yourself up to ridicule for being incapable of being professional. And that's not going to look good on you in the long run. And it's going to look worse on you in the long run.
It's very true.
Yeah.
So,
What's
I
chat
have
saying?
a topic that if there's nobody in chat that has anything more to add to it, you know, I think we have it pretty covered. It's pretty unanimous, it seems, from how people are talking. That there's a new topic that I want to move into that's going to probably take a lot of time because, you know, we all feel very strongly about this particular person here in this group. Anita Sarkeesian recently released her 2015 and 2014 projections and financial reports. It's interesting to read because Anita Sarkeesian is seemingly taking head-on a lot of the criticisms that she's had since she began Feminist Frequency, which is now a nonprofit organization. So her financial reports have to be public, and she has to show what she's going to be projecting to do with that money within the next year. One of the things that she covered was she's going to try to cover masculinity in gaming, which we're going to get to a little later with the 25 invisible privileges of gaming while male. And another thing that she talked about was how she is broadening her umbrella to also include cyber attacks and, you know, your internet presence and dealing with harassment online, which was a huge topic this year as well. I think it was really interesting. I read the financial report to see how she's allocating the funds, because that's a huge argument that we hear against Anita is that, you know, money disappears. It's interesting to see that she now has to put where all of that money is going, how much percent of it is going to where, and she has to build these products, which I think is great in the sense of if she wants to legitimize her movement, she needs to be able to back up where these donations are going, as should any nonprofit organization. And I also think that it's interesting that she's now bringing in a male perspective, which is the first video came from what was his name? Jonathan McIntosh, who was producing her videos, and it had 25 other game industry males, including Adam Sessler in the video. We talked last week a little bit about how when men stick up for women, some people feel like they get called names or they get harassed in response, and the importance of he for she and having men also come together with women to make changes. I'm not going to talk about it too much more because we all are going to cover a little bit more, and I could rebut a little bit later. But one of the quotes that came from McIntosh was, "We can't work to fix something unless we first see and understand its effects," which is the brainchild behind the 25 invisible privileges. So, Nikki, I'm going to bring it to you. What do you think so far about Anita coming out and giving her reports?
Well, we were talking about this right before we went live. So, and this is one of the subjects that I wasn't really that much up on when we started, but I think it's the next step for her, right? If she's going to be going into this world of, becoming the 501c. What do I think about her giving up her reports? Honestly, the time I had to look at it.
Something interesting that came out of these reports is that as a response to Gamergate, she had a massive amount of funding. People came and
Oh yeah.
Her funds almost
Awesome.
met the entire year before in the months of Gamergate. She has, and it completely changed a lot of her plans, which is, I believe, part of why she's adding this masculinity in gaming aspect.
So what's her end game here? Like, what's the global thought process that she has?
Well, she's talking to people, and she is meeting with people about how to handle cyber attacks and cyber harassment, which,
Right.
we've seen that she gets an alarming amount of harassment.
So to me, this is like knowledge that you're giving me, so I'm soaking it up.
I read her whole report. I was really intrigued seeing how she's rebutting a lot of the criticisms that come her way, and whether you agree with it or not, I think that was really important in her being transparent, which is, in a movement like that, something that you definitely need. And whether you believe it or not is one thing or another. But it's nice to see that there's statistics and there's graphics. So, what do you think, Kim? Bring it over to you.
To be completely honest, when it comes to Anita, I've kind of I really don't agree with all the hate that she gets, because I think that she's staying behind what she believes in, and that's admirable. And I think Shrew sent me a link to some of the stuff that she has received in a week. And a lot of it is just terrible. I mean, nobody should have some of that stuff said to them regardless. But, I think that moving forward with this 501c, I think it may help her out. I think that people might start to see it, to see her in a better light. Like I said, even you telling me, I'm in the same boat as Nikki. When you tell me stuff about this, I'm soaking in the information because I've just kind of stayed out of it. I believe that there's way too much negativity in this, and I don't even know how far she's gonna get with all these people who just can't take her seriously.
Well, I think that's part of what's important. A major player in the gaming industry, whether you like it or not, she was on mainstream networks. She was the first video game-only guest on the Colbert Report. Like, that's huge for our industry. That's gigantic. And because of that, when something comes my way and people say, hey, this is interesting, and it's not just another video or another campaign of why people don't like her, I'm definitely interested in reading into it. What about you, Pixie? What do you think?
I obviously think that declaring your purposes is very important. I do not like Anita Sarkeesian at all. I am hard anti-Sarkeesian. and have no issue admitting that. I'm not sending her death threats, but
supporting her.
I definitely don't support her, and I can understand why people are upset with her about messing with things that they love. For a bunch of reasons that I will get into when we go a little bit further later, because my topic's gonna backpack off of pages. But in reality, I don't support Anita Sarkeesian. I think it's important to declare any purpose that you have, but really, I 90% of what she says pisses me off, and I think it's garbage, and I argue ferociously against it.
And what about you, Shrev?
You know, I'm like Switzerland on this topic. I really, really respect Anita for being strong enough to have a voice, being loud enough to have her voice heard. But I do think that there are two sides of the story. I do not think it's okay to have a lot of what's happened to her and some other women happen, fearing for your safety, your family's safety, having your privacy invaded. I think all those things should be, you know, and of what she's doing with her 501, making it so that they're an advocacy group for people that are having these issues, and hopefully eventually what I'd like to see happen is going to Congress and have some of these laws changed so that we can protect ourselves, male or female, when things really go wrong, because until someone sets a precedence, there will be no law to protect us. Unfortunately, that's how it works in the United States. Until something happens, we can't, you know, take too much of a stance on it, because there's no way to protect ourselves. Online is everything online is such a vast, huge, unknown thing, and I think there's going to be a lot of change that has to happen, and she's doing it in her wheelhouse. She's doing it where she thinks that she can make the most change, but I also do think that there has to be some kind of push for the men in our lives, some kind of advocacy for them and how they feel, and the hardship they go through in gaming, because it's not always one-sided. I know that we are ladies of the round table, and I know that we have, I know, a great love and affection for the women in our lives, but I'm also married to a gamer. I don't have a male child, but I do have a daughter child, and I know Nikki has boys, and I'm sure she hears a lot of stuff on the Xbox chat. Yes, and a daughter, I'm sorry, but on the Xbox chat that her kids are subjected to, and it's not necessarily because they're you know, gaming and they're being rowdy. It's because they're boys and they're kids and they're minors, and adults talk to them like, you know, with language that is not appropriate. And I do see my husband, who has from time to time made comments to someone, and he gets trolled or he gets hammered, not because of me, not because of who I am and what I stand for, but because of his gender. Or maybe what he looks like or doesn't look like. It does happen. Or his voice on a TeamSpeak or a voiceover chat. So I think that it goes both ways. And creating a place where everyone can be in a safe environment and be able to support each other is exactly what I want. I know that may not happen, you know, anytime soon, but if we work together with groups like what Anita's doing, and there's some other groups out that are doing the same thing, to set the example that it's not okay to, you know, be one-sided and or be disrespectful towards each other, and it has to start with us as adults. I'm sorry to say. Pixie, I know your cam's out, and I saw your hand up. I'm going to go to you in a second here, so if you're not ready, you need to just let me know. I'll just keep on rolling. There she is. Go ahead.
There is a huge problem with gaming culture in general. I'll get into it a little more later, but it's this concept known as benevolent sexism. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's the idea that when you actually treat people equally, regardless of gender, you are always going to be seen as sexist towards the women. There have been studies on the idea is that you're not treating women the same way that women would treat women. Typically, like, men in the gaming community, at least for me, treat women the same as they would treat it is. And so benevolent sexism is a huge issue that no one seems to take into account. And that's really a lot of why I disagree with Anita Sarkeesian. Because it doesn't really, try to understand from an equality approach what is actually equal. What is actually equal when you see females being objectified in video games is to then objectify men in those video games. That is what is actually equal. 100%. But that's not what people are pushing for, and that's not what people want. So I mean, it's just this is a huge issue that Anita Sarkeesian consistently disregards. And I think it's important to think about that, whether you're male or female.
Want to throw it to Kim?
Please.
Yes.
So Kim.
Oh, so there's a ton of stuff about this in chat. And they've got some really, 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 really great comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with some of these people. Y'all are awesome. Come on. We should just let y'all be on the show. Let's see. A lot of people are saying that the hate is ridiculous. There's a special. Callie says that there's a special place in hell for them.
Yeah.
Julian has been saying a lot and has a lot of good things to say. Julian says gaming has been completely ignoring mainstream media constant attack on crazy people like Jack Thompson. There was a lot I have to go through and sift.
No, it's no problem. Take your time.
Malice said people need to appropriate accordingly based on certain audiences and be decent human beings regardless. I think that's very good. Yeah, and then Kali also said, I wish people could just be decent human beings, but a lot of people have grown up warped and they cling to their ideas that they were taught. And that kind of... Oh, yeah!
I love to objectify men in game. Bulges. Bonks?
Bulges, guys.
I love you.
If you want that Bonks t-shirt, we got bulges in the store.
Oh yeah, that Bulges game.
That Bulges t-shirt is for sale. If you want to wear it with pride and show your love for the Bonks, you can get your Bonks Bulge t-shirt.
The Bulge.
Oh my goodness.
We miss those gamer chats that you
Gone
used
right
to bring.
from masturbation to bulges.
Man, we are hitting it tonight.
You never know.
They're hard.
all
They're
the
hard.
important things. Got all the bases covered. Oh my goodness.
I'm reminiscing.
Yep.
Little tear.
You missed songs.
But all in all, I think people will agree that you should be a decent human being. Way to go.
Way to go. And we don't care if you're a guy and you want to play a female character, if you're a girl and you want to play a girl character, all day long. It doesn't matter. You're enjoying the game. You're immersed in something that you love. We want to do the same thing. We want to come home, relax, play our game, get a couple headshots in, maybe get some Tetris, I don't know, some Little Sackboy, what is that, Little Big Planet, I don't know, whatever it is that trips your fancy, some Candy Crush. Yeah, I totally went there, didn't I? Dirty Minds, get them out the gutter, get them out the gutter. Some Candy Crush, whatever it is, it is all the same. We love the gaming, so why we gotta be hateful? Why we gotta hate on each other? I don't get it. I really don't. It makes no sense to me. I'm teaching my child not to do that because of someone's race or someone's religion. So why should I not do the same with a video game? Why? Doesn't make sense to me. I'm gonna throw it back to you want to throw it back to Paige.
So as far as the 25 privileges, invisible privileges, I definitely see how, as a girl, and definitely back in my Xbox days, when Xbox Live was new to me, how I did kind of shy away from a lot of things. Like I never had my cam on. When I started writing, I have a picture of myself up. I never expressed my pictures, and if I would have never done that, I would have never been on the show. So I'm glad that eventually I did. I don't. I definitely haven't felt all of these things, but I do think that there is merit in a lot of the things that are being said. Like, it's interesting being a girl, and I get a lot of respect generally on the internet. I get a lot of love. I get a lot of great questions on Ask FM. I get a lot of great engagement on Twitter. But I do still every day get a question on Ask FM about like, am I single, or what size is my bra, or sometimes people blatantly just telling me to bend over and take them. And I don't publish these things. I have started screen cap them. Some of them are funny, like somebody asked me if it's true I have a radioactive anus. I thought that one was kind of funny. But,
That was
but
thoughtful.
No,
That was good.
like almost every day I have a guy asking me to send him a picture of me blowing a bubblegum bubble for him. He actually sent one today. I probably could screen share it. It's it's not, sure there are women maybe that do enjoy that kind of attention, but I don't think that people assume that women do, and I don't think that people care if you do or don't when they give that to you as a girl, and you're not asking for it by just putting yourself out there as a female. And that's the reason why on a lot of games, unless I know who I'm with, I don't turn on my mic, or I don't put on my video, or the people who knew me online didn't know I was a girl for years until one day I talk about my daughter or something. And it's definitely something that I've come into contact with, and I think that it's interesting seeing a man acknowledge that. And I think that that's kind of powerful. Let's bring it around.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so this, I think this is kind of a really good time to lead into my section of this topic. So I've seen this video numerous times, and every time I see it, it just makes me even more angry. I can't say there's anything on this list that I actually agree with for multiple reasons. And so I decided, and I will at some point post this after a little bit of editing, so it's a little bit more clear and concise. So you guys can see it and you guys can understand why I disagree with everything 1 through 25 on this list.
1 through 25. Woo.
Yeah. Rebutted everything. I have like a Google Doc of 6 pages because I've gone so far with like actual responses and citation of sources. So here's the thing. There are 3 egregious ones that I picked. Obviously, I'm not going to do all 25. But the first and most egregious one that I found is number 8 on this list of 25. I will never be asked or expected to speak for all other gamers who share my gender. So this is an article written by a man, and there is a corresponding video where men are being asked to speak in absolute statements about the privilege that men have in the gaming community. So you're telling me, as a man, you're never going to be asked or expected or feel like you have to speak for all other gamers who share my gender. You're in fact absolutely 100% doing this right now in this video, and you have done this in this list. Like, what are you thinking? Seriously.
So we're already just done with it by then.
So all of you in chat who just had your minds blown and agree with that, just type a 1. I think it's easy, it's simple, just type a one because, yeah, it's all done. I mean, it's all done. I know there's going to be some rebuttals coming back, but I want to get some anybody in chat have any comments, Kim, that we need to catch up on before we go over to anybody else?
No, not that I've seen really, but we've tacked on radioactive anuses to the list of things we've talked about on this stream.
Awesome. There's going to be some great hashtags coming out of this week's show.
God.
I tell you.
Oh yeah.
Ian's going to have a field day doing the description on the YouTube. I'm really telling you. Let me go to Nikki. Nikki, do you have anything to add to that blow by blow?
I am shaking my head inside, reading through the list of 25 right now.
Yeah, the list
Oh
of
my
25
God.
is harsh.
Oh my God. No.
Okay. All
I'm
right,
gonna
Kim.
pass for now, but I'm coming back to me. I gotta get some
First of all, I don't even know why he even thought that he should bring that up. Because it's like, did he not think about oh, no one's gonna attack me on this. People will totally agree. You'd have to have, you couldn't have a brain.
I don't think at all. I think that they bank on controversy that gets brewed from these videos. I think they make a lot of money off of that.
I'm sure that's true, but seriously, I cannot believe it. Even if I wanted to get some sort of publicity from that, I would never make such a stupid statement. Never. I couldn't.
God.
I couldn't portray myself that way.
Does it go back to that thing that we were talking about before, that little thing called journalistic ethics? Something like that.
Yeah.
So do you think...
if you want to be taken seriously, that one statement can literally negate this entire list from being taken seriously. That one statement.
True that. I guess that's true. There's no getting around that. Depending on how far you get in the list, you could have stopped reading.
So do you think that his arrogance may be a little bit of a facade and he wrote this? I mean, is he serious?
I think that one of the interesting things that he wrote, or that he said in the video, is that he'll never be questioned because he's a white man, but some of the most misogynist guys I've met are not white. And I think that that's kind of crazy too. It's like if you're a certain race, you automatically can't be prejudiced or racist or sexist. And I think that that's really interesting too. But I mean, I definitely don't agree with everything he wrote, but I definitely have felt the other side of some of those things. And I think that it's kind of interesting to see how people are getting worked up around it, because until I read the financial report, I had no idea that this was out. No one sent it to me. No one brought it up in my circles. So I thought that was, I thought that it was kind of interesting there. One of her big points is, people never talk that she doesn't talk about, what happens with men in these video games, and she's saying that she's trying to address it. And I thought that was really interesting, and I think that it's going to bring up a lot of interesting conversation on the internet.
So, but that goes back to the whole point of, Pixie and I talked about this before. How can she talk from a perspective of a male?
Well, she's not. Ian, what's his name? McIntosh? He wrote it.
Okay.
And he had other men in the industry endorsing it. So when they went through...
And it's bad. It's just a bad list.
It's a bad list. And
I'll go...
Did he write this to gain the publicity from it? Did he write it from a point of arrogance as a facade to make it controversial?
I don't think so.
I think he was 100% serious.
I've never read any of his articles, so I don't know if he's always this arrogant.
Well, he was a producer for Feminist Frequency.
All right.
He's a producer for FemFreak.
So the only way for you to answer that question is to be able to read it yourself and draw your own conclusion, I guess, is the answer. Because
I've read it through twice now.
He's coming from, he's also coming off of how shocked he was. He wrote, I don't have the article pulled up anymore. My browser just crashed. But he was saying that he was shocked by the responses people had to her project. He was shocked by the harassment, and I think that also had a lot to do with it and went into it too.
So
Pixie,
what
you
are the
raising your
guys
hand?
in chat saying
Well, the
about
article,
this?
the article, I can put the link back up. But let me say something real quick before Pixie goes, okay, guys? Because I think that we need to definitely have a disclaimer here and let you guys know that if you're in this chat and you're watching this show and you're sitting with us, you've got to realize that we are not the hardcore, archaic feminists. We do not believe or male bashing.
I was gonna say, I don't think Kim
Some
and I
of
would
us
even
don't
take
even
title of feminist.
we don't even take
No.
the title feminist. I
You
mean,
know
it
what?
may come across that way, but we don't.
I would agree. I think that, I could take a poll on this channel and ask that question, but I'm not, because I think it's your own private business on how you want to label yourself, because really, in my opinion, there are no labels. We shouldn't have to disclaim a label and put a label on something. It's what I believe in, it's how I feel, and it is my personal opinion to say, and I can't speak for all the ladies, but I can speak for you sitting at the table and say that we are definitely all about being able to share the things that we like and express how we want, and we want you guys to do the same thing. That's why we have the ability for you to put an application on the website and bring your butt and sit at the table with us and give us what for. We're willing to take a hit and say, come on the channel, male or female, and have a conversation. We want you guys to engage with us. We want to be accessible. We want to know what you're thinking. That's why we have this show. Pixie, go.
All right, so, because we're just gonna keep rolling right through these. So the next one I thought was especially egregious. I do not have to carefully navigate my engagement with online communities or gaming spaces in order to avoid or mitigate the possibility of being harassed because of my gender. Men actually receive more abuse online than women do. Swatting. Take Jack Thompson versus Anita Sarkeesian. They both did tropes. One was violent tropes causing violence. The other, sexist tropes promoting misogyny. Jack Thompson was put in a video game where you could, like, beat his buddy senseless, throw him in a wood chipper, and then see blood spray across your computer screen. Anita Sarkeesian has been put into an app where you can slap her face and it gets bruised. Now, I just want us to think about, in the grand scheme of horrible treatment, which one is actually worse? Do you think that being asked about your breast size is worse than having swatting occur to you, where people call the police and call in terroristic threats and then have them come to your house? Because
I don't think
there's a huge difference
either,
there,
though.
and one of them is worse.
I don't think that that's fair, though, to say that you should have to accept either of them. You know, just because one's worse, you shouldn't have to accept either of them. That's kind of a... You know, I shouldn't have to deal with any sort of harassment just because I'm there as a girl, or you shouldn't have to deal with the harassment because you're good at a game and you get swatted. Harassment in general is just shitty. You know,
It's just a fact of life, though.
But you shouldn't be.
But it shouldn't have to be accepted as a fact of life.
No, it shouldn't. You should be able to take action against it.
Does happen, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, anything, lots of things. Murder happens, but you should be able to, not condone that. It's, there's crappy things in life.
I want to hear from Nikki on this particular...
On this particular one?
Yep.
All right, so I don't believe that this one... All right, so I know a little bit more than I'm supposed to. So I know a few people that game by me, and I know that one of them was harassed. I don't believe that this guy knows what he's talking about in this situation, because gender does not mean anything there. I know a guy younger that was harassed by an older guy for a long time. Let's be friends, let's do this, and it turned out to be a creepy little thing. And honestly, I'm taken back by reading through the list, to be honest, because this person just seems to throw 25 things in a row, and a lot of the ideas repeat through a couple of them. And this one, yeah, maybe you feel that way because you're an arrogant fuck, but gender aside, it doesn't matter. You're going to be harassed, you're going to be picked on, you're going to be for whatever. You might have brown hair or blue hair, you might suck at your game, you might hurt the wrong person, and all of a sudden, like you said, they're swatting him, and he's going, having to talk the cops down off a fence from shooting him through the, front
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, these are kind of. The more I read these, the more I just feel like this guy did it for the publicity, not because he
the lulz.
believed any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I know it's Pixies, but I mean, when you walk through, I could walk into any gaming store, see images of my gender widely represented as powerful heroes, villains, and non-playable characters alike.
How does that affect anyone in all reality?
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a couple that
Diver
that's
put out
right.
research that shows that people don't identify with main characters in games the way that people think they do.
Yep.
Right.
Digra, of all places, put out this research.
But I mean, it's like he just picked things and put them out there for people like us to discuss and get upset about. And that is a way to get hits on a site. That is a way to generate,
Drama,
a lot of
conversation.
right. Well, to generate the publicity around what you're talking about, because obviously they want to get hits and they want to get people here to see the ads all over this page, you know. But I mean, there's a couple that make me wonder. We still have few games with really good female role model characters in them, So there are a couple. So that's all I have to say.
I had a lot of male gaming friends, and he says that you don't have to navigate carefully when you're a male in gaming spaces, and I think that is totally false. That is totally false. I mean, because here's the thing. Whenever I get the choice to play as male or female, may it be an MMO or any RPG that has that has an option, anything like that at all, I normally pick male. And the most I get is, oh, you're a girl in real life, and that's it. That's it. But I know personally, I was very close with somebody who predominantly picked female in MMOs and stuff like that, and he got more shit for being a female than I did for being male. And I think that's stupid. And they called him a fag, oh, do you want to be female? Oh, you gay? That's
fucking faggot. You're such a pussy.
Yeah, and I mean, seriously, he gets all that, and I just get you're a girl in real life. Come on. I mean,
I think that's cool with the he for she thing though. Who is it? There's a famous rock star who said, I don't feel ashamed when I dress like a woman because I'm not ashamed. I don't think being a woman is shameful. And I think
here's the thing. He has become beaten down to the fact where he doesn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because he feels like, people are gonna make fun of me and give me shit, and I don't want to deal with it,
And I think it's something different to be said about a famous rock star. They can make that statement because no one's going to be giving them shit.
That's something that Pixie brought up last week about how men, when they try to stick up for women, they get a lot of shit in these communities. And it's definitely, it's why they have campaigns like He for She, because people are beating guys down for just not caring, even just being supportive by proxy of being, existing in a world where that's okay.
Yeah, and you know what? It's stupid. I mean, that comment is dumb. I mean, come on. Can you really look at men, other men, can you really look at it and, see that they're harassed, almost all the time? Oh, you're not good at this game. Oh, you pussy. Come on. Seriously? I have to deal with boobs every now and then, but, I can just ignore it and then move on. And, I mean, at least I get some sort of payoff, whereas men, they don't. They don't get any payoff.
The payoff you get as a woman, as long as you're genuinely interested in whatever game you're playing, men are going to be more inclined to take it easier on you. Women are allowed a lack of skill when it comes to gaming in some arenas as long as they demonstrate willingness to learn and true
It's true.
Wanting to participate.
Pixie, put the finger down. I'm feeling bad about myself.
Seriously, the thing is, if you think as a guy that you're safe on the internet, what are you smoking? By all means, post whatever you want on the internet, Like, post your personal information. Go right ahead, because that penis, it's gonna protect you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Man, and you know,
They aren't stalked by women.
Yeah. And I mean, and back to what you were saying about how,
Right.
you know, as long as we show, as females, as long as we show a genuine interest in the game, we'll have somebody that'll help us or want to watch us, you know, and I see it all the time. I go over to a male streamer and they're not very good at the game, but you know, they like playing it, and that's all they get. All they get is hate, and then they hate on them and they leave. For my channel, they're like, oh, Kim, you know, you can do this. And, you know, I really hate the fact that they do that. But I mean, it's just, that's how it is. And I'd rather they offer the help to people who really enjoy the games, no matter the gender.
I definitely have had negative reactions to being bad at a game as a girl, especially in like 2006, 2007, when I would be on Xbox Live. I would get a lot of shit and I would get sniped out. I definitely had a problem with that, but I don't think that you know, I can't necessarily speak for all of females. I can only speak for myself when I say that, and I definitely have had some crazy kind of targeting because of that. And I never played online at that point. It was really hard to get into it, and I stopped playing online for a long time because I had such a bad experience, you know. And eventually, you know, I came back without my voice and without any face. So I think that's kind of interesting.
A lot of women go through in some phases and or repetitive phases of, once they start getting online because they haven't done it before, they come into the harsh reality of what they're presented with, and then they get smacked in the head with the attacks and the trolling, and then, you know, feel bad about themselves, or are told that they're fat, they're ugly, whatever the case may be, and they could be the most beautiful girl that you've ever seen. However, it's because they are a female and they're a streamer, and maybe they're not showing their boobs, and they're being yelled at because they are not doing that. I mean, there's so much that goes on that it becomes a vicious cycle. And we're not saying that, guys, you don't get it either. However, we don't see you shirtless on stream, and we're not yelling at you about your abs not being so six-pack and your hair not being so mullet-like. I mean, we don't scream that kind of stuff at you on stream. So, I mean, it is kind of a double-edged sword.
But I mean, even Twitch, you know, the whole you have to wear a shirt that covers your body. All of that went both ways. Men can't stream shirtless. They have to stream with the shirt on. I mean, and that's it goes both ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
well, I've seen some guys on Twitch with a shirt over the shoulder,
right,
mocking the Twitch rules, saying, I have a shirt on because it's over my shoulder. You know? Go ahead, Pixie.
Okay, since Paige brought up her bad experience online, it kind of bleeds perfectly into this one. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll into this one. That way we can get the last one done and then we can continue discussing. So it's 18. I probably never think about hiding my real life gender online through my gamer name, my avatar choice, or by muting voice chat out of fear of harassment resulting from my being male. Obviously, the counterpart of that is from being female. So here's the thing. Studies show...
Breaking news. Bonks is leaving channel, guys. Everybody
I'm going. That's it. I'm done.
Everybody say goodnight. Hopefully she'll be back at some point and we'll get her on the show. I've been stalking her Twitter and her phone and her email, so don't think I'm not trying, guys. Night, Bonks. Have a good one. We'll see you when you come back, and have a great evening. Hopefully you're done with work soon. Sorry, guys, I had to say it. Anyway, go ahead, Pixie.
So studies show that there are actually really marked differences in the male and female personality. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, because I have it, Ian doesn't have it. These are all in my notes. I'm sorry.
Oh my.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. So studies show that there are marked differences in the male and female personality when it comes to sensitivity, apprehension, and in general, like, stoicism. So the interesting thing is that men get just as much harassment as women do, and some of it is gender-based. Dickless, you're a neckbeard, faggot. I'd say all of those are pretty gender-based to me. And the thing is because of that difference in sensitivity, very often benevolent sexism occurs. So benevolent sexism is the idea that if you treat a man and woman the same, you're very often seen as being sexist because you are not treating the female 10 times more gently than you treat the male. So very often what happens online is because they're female, they have higher levels of sensitivity, and so they don't seem to understand that in a lot of cases, men are going to talk to you the same way that they talk to any other man. Because the gaming industry and gaming in general is still very male dominated. When you talk to and look at it in the sense of developers and AAA games and its player base. So that's what I find interesting is it really that women are harassed and made to feel uncomfortable, or is it that men treat women like they would treat a bro, and these women have higher levels of sensitivity and therefore get a little butthurt?
I don't know if somebody sniping me and then asking me if I'm going to blow my boyfriend that night is me being too sensitive. It was, when I had that experience, when I came back without my voice, I definitely never had that again. So it was definitely, I don't think I was being too sensitive there. But people could perceive it however they want. I just know that I have had very different experiences, in different settings. I definitely don't get that way in, like, a MOBA, like you said, like Wizard Wars. But I have had that on Xbox Live, definitely, where people have been completely harassing when I have my voice on. And it's not a matter of, like, I'm not going to play anymore. It's a matter of I just don't want to deal with it, with them knowing who I am.
Okay. I think for me personally, being a streamer and, being a gamer, just in general, I think that you have to realize that you're going to get that. You're going to get that from men. It sucks, but you do. You have to realize that. And, I don't care. I had 2 trolls come into our chat the other day and absolutely just wreck it. I mean, they really, really hurt Macy's feelings. And, I'll play around with you for a while. Whatever, that's fine. Because, I expect that. But I think as a female gamer, you also need to get on the page of, like, okay, these are words and they can't really affect me unless I let them. And, because I'm lesbian, I get a lot more shit than I should. I get a lot of very personal questions that I don't want to answer on stream. Like, sometimes my mom's in chat. Like, maybe I don't want to talk about that, but, I've learned to accept it. And, if I say, okay, I banned those people the other day, that's what happened. They ended up being really bad. And, we gave them lots of chances and we ended up banning them. We have a very fair banning system. And, they came back with a troll account of Regality Scissoring. And you know what? We went to bed that day, we woke up the next day, and we got back on stream, and we went about our business. I mean, Go ahead.
I get more shit from women than I do men.
So, I think as gamers as a whole, just being so negative to each other and quit being such rude asses. But you know what? I think as a gamer, you should expect that sort of shit because that's just people in general.
Well, I mean, don't you think that's part of the nature of it, with it being competitive? Don't you think that people are going to shit talk you and they're going to pick things that are obviously going to be the most likely to upset you?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, because
it's a mind game.
That's the thing. Like when a troll comes in, they want to hurt you, and so that's why a lot of times we're like, oh, ha, like we play it off, and then they leave. That's it.
Right. Don't.
So,
It's just a matter of, I don't think that it's wrong for somebody to turn it off, though, if they don't want to hear that. And I think that it's good that we have the option to do that, because there are people who just don't want to hear that shit. Maybe they just want to have fun after a long day at work.
No, there's nothing wrong with
lots of
turning it off.
reasons that people will play a game, and there's lots of things that people don't want to deal with. And, I don't think it makes anybody less or more of anything for doing it either way or the other.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't. But I mean, like I said, and I'm going to always say it, you have to kind of desensitize yourself to that. Because it really takes away your experience as a gamer. And I mean, who are they to steal something? If you want to have a voice, go for it. So, and basically, who are they to steal your voice, male or female? I mean, because it is true. And even in CS:GO, they have a really bad community. Even women talk shit to me there. So
CS:GO is the worst.
Yeah. If anything, I just mute them so they can hear me talk all day.
I love shit talking video games.
So
I do. I love shit talking video games. So when I'd play Call of Duty with my roommate, I would get a lot of inappropriate comments.
Inappropriate?
I'm sorry, I just read Arcade Android's comment.
Most of them were just like dumb trolls. So my favorite thing to do was headshot them over and over and over and over till they rage quit. Do it.
So guys,
it works.
I'm gonna make a comment, and this comment may sound harsh to some people. You may not like it. It's not meant for you to like. It's my personal opinion. And, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch anymore. So I'm going to preface it with that. I think that the comment about being desensitized is pretty sad in our culture, because that's the way a lot of our children are starting to be because of this type of behavior becoming the norm. And I feel that for me, it is not okay for this to happen with the younger generation. It is not okay for you, Kim, to be in a stream, or anyone else to be in a stream and want to stream and feel that this acceptable behavior for you to be trolled, whether it is from a male or a female. I think there has to be a level of respect for another human being that is acceptable. Now, whether you decide as a person to accept that is your choice, but it is not my choice to allow someone to do that to someone I care about, or sit and watch it, or allow it to be going on, whether it's inside of a Twitch channel, at a school, or at my grocery store, or wherever it may be. I think that is something that we all, as human beings, need to look differently at, and not say, it just happens.
Yeah,
because I don't think that's okay.
There's things that, if I wouldn't let someone say it in front of me in a grocery store, I'm not going to stand by idly and be like, hey, that's okay because we're online. Yeah, the communities are different, and, there's definitely a level of trolling, and I've done my fair share of that, and I think that it can be fun. But there's definitely a line, and it's okay if you don't want to cross that line, and it's okay if you want to stand in a position where you don't think that line should be crossed, or that you think that should be generally accepted. There definitely is a correlation with people who game a lot and a lack of empathy. And there's studies that prove that, and I think that Carmen hit the nail on the head when she says that. There's this huge culture. Some people blame, the forums on the internet. Some people blame the gaming of young kids coming up and just being douchebags and never getting over it. And it's, I think it has a lot to do with the idea of, trying to bring that big, bad online persona into your real life. It's not necessarily people who spend all their time online and all their friends are online, their line gets blurred between what's okay in reality and what's okay in virtual reality, and I can see that.
The simple fact is, this list really needs to be non-gender based.
Yeah.
Because the simple fact is, harassment happens to everyone on the internet at some point. The degrees to which it happens do in fact vary.
Mm.
And I agree. I don't think it should happen. It's a fact that it happens now, but it doesn't mean that it's not okay to stand up in defense of some random person on the internet.
Yeah.
If somebody calls you a faggot for it, tell them to suck your fat cock. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like that, but that's what needs to happen. Because if you actually want to stop shit like this from happening, swatting, and you want to grow the community, like, get people to do things that positively influence it.
Yeah.
So Kim, I see that Julian just wrote a book in chat, and I don't know if that comment is worth reading, but I want you to take some time and check that out because
Arcade made a great comment before.
Go ahead, Paige.
I'm trying to go up to it. He wrote that. I'm trying to find it with Anita. When he brought it up, he wrote that he. Here we go. I found it. Oh my goodness, the chat's messing it up for me trying to read it. But what he was writing was that, he doesn't agree with the way Anita goes about a lot of things, but he is appreciative that she introduced him to a lot of ideas that he never thought about, and, points in feminism and how they cross into our culture that he never really thought twice about. And although he doesn't necessarily support Anita, he does think that there's some good that came out of it. I think that was really something. That's how I feel about Anita in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, I don't really like where she comes from, and I don't necessarily even think that she's genuine. But I do think that there is a lot of good that came out of her legitimizing the academic study of video games and really looking into where they fit into our culture and how they affect us.
Paige, I totally agree with you in that aspect because what Anita's done for us in the mainstream media, it took decades for it to happen. She's opened up a small crack in mainstream media for us to be able to stick our foot in the door. Yeah. And a lot of things have been actually picked up by mainstream media since then that would never have been picked up if it wasn't for this particular type of incident. And I want to go back to Kim and see what Julian has to say because Julian's had some great chat conversations
going on. Julian is rocking it.
Yeah, Julian is rocking it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Julian said, I think if you want to play a game online, you could just mute the people who you find annoying. People will make fun of you if your voice is too slim and say you're like a 9-year-old, or just make fun of anything they can. These are the kind of people. These are the kind who are harassing. Same with people who call you out in the street for anything, for the clothes you wear, or the hair you have, or the body that you have, and you can choose to either ignore them or get aggressive. And then he said, hell, I get called out. I get called out fat every time I go at 8 a.m. to work, and I could care less what they say. See, and I want to come back to what I said about desensitizing it, because I don't want it to come across that I'm saying that you should be a robot and you shouldn't think that people are pieces of shit because of the things they say.
Sorry.
But you know what? The choices that I've come to is, you know what? They're people on the internet, and I'm gonna give them what for. And normally, if they start acting like hell, I give them hell back, because I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm not going to say that I'm just going to sit there and be like, okay, man, okay, and then just ban them. I mean,
you know why, Kim? Do you know why you do that?
Why?
Because, baby, you're fine. Sorry.
With a radioactive.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? And like Julian said, you can either choose to ignore them or be aggressive. And, I kind of take the middle road. I'm like, hey, man, you suck. And then I'm like, bye.
Yeah. Dude, sometimes the best thing to do is troll them back so hard. I'm really short in real life. really short in real life.
Tiny
Like
size,
5 foot.
she's like that big.
I keep her in my pockets.
Look, I'm 5'1.5". Okay, I used to have to sit on pillows to even be able to reach my computer desk.
I'm shorter.
How do
I'm
you
shorter than you,
drive?
actually.
How do you drive when they don't make phone books anymore?
Like this in a Honda Fit? I
Wait,
drive a
wait, wait.
Honda.
Wait, how tall is Pixie?
5'1.5".
We're the same height.
Oh my God, we're working with little people, Nikki.
And so people call me short all the time, and I go.
She doesn't come across as being short. When I met her,
she
she has
does
a
not.
much bigger personality
And you
than this
make
tiny
fun of
little
it.
girl she is.
Just
You know
agree and
why?
amplify.
Because
I'm so
all
short.
her
You have no
life-
idea. I
And
can't
that's-
even
that's-
reach toilet paper.
Yeah.
I'm so little. You can put me in your pocket. I'm like one of the elfin kids who works on fudge cookies. Literally troll them back so hard by just agreeing with whatever they say and making it the most ridiculous thing possible.
And
you resolve a lot of problems.
Find the people in your life that are positive, that see the things in you that are true to your personality and you want to align yourself with, and make those people your friends. The people that are being negative and trolling you and pretending to be your friends, they're not your friends. Those people will come and go. So if you don't already have that thick skin, our advice to you is to make sure that you're paying attention to who you're talking to, who you're telling your business to, and who you're sharing with. Especially in today's society with, Pixie and Kim and Paige, to some extent, you guys live your lives online more so than you do in everyday real life. Your socialization is all online. So those are very different things to Nikki and myself. So it's a whole new world for you guys, and people tend to overshare when they get behind that keyboard, and that's how you get yourself in trouble. Just saying.
Because in the land of anonymity, anything goes.
Did you say see an enemy? Are we talking
in the land of anonymity.
Anonymous.
I live in anonymity.
Oh man, on that note, we are about out of time. I want to thank everybody who showed up for the show tonight, stayed in chat. All of you, thank you so much for coming. All of you that hit that follow button, we appreciate you as well. Nikki?
It's a big week.
It is a big week.
Just call Saul.
Yes, just call Saul. I can't wait.
Better call Saul. Yeah.
Better call Saul. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we will be here next Friday, same bat channel, same bat time. You will be able to see who our guests will be next week down in the bottom of that chat info. We will put that up on maybe Saturday or Sunday, definitely by Monday, and we will be bringing a guest. I think we do have a guest next week. And thank you all for hitting that follow button, and thank you for sharing your Friday night with us. And ladies, you want to say goodnight? You want to do shout outs?
Yeah.
Shout outs? All right, shout outs. Let's go with Pixie first.
Shout outs to that awkward unicorn for his last comment. People change their personality depending on the. Females can also be mean. I'm a male and females hate me, but I don't care because I'm not pressured to retaliate because I'm male and they're females. Good on you. And sometimes women are mean.
Yes.
And a little catty.
Mean girls. Mean girls suck.
Sometimes.
Yo, Lindsay Lohan.
Okay.
Lindsay Lohan in chat
Going
again?
for Mean Girls?
Yeah.
Macy's Mean Girls koozie.
Oh, I thought she was in chat again.
Oh man, we don't need Lindsay in chat again.
No, Lindsay?
6, go ahead, shout outs.
Shout out to thisisanothercastle.com or AC Another Castle in Twitter. And shout outs to Gaming Rebellion and Arcade Android, who is here in our chat from Gaming Rebellion. If you guys haven't seen the episode with Arcade Android in it, what was it? Hole in My Sweater Weather?
Yes. Hole in Your Sweater Weather.
Yes.
Yeah.
2
You guys
episodes
really
ago.
should check it out. He was awesome. Definitely
Best jet.
my guest. And that's it for my shout outs tonight. Thanks guys for staying in the chat, hanging out with us.
Nikki, go ahead with your shout outs.
Shout out to everybody in chat. Julian, you did great. I think today was one of the best chats that we've had in a while. Awesome. You guys rock. Shout out to Andy Coster, who won a Aegis Dynamics Redeemer package on my show. If you don't know what that is, you don't know what Star Citizen is. And a shout out to you girls who I won't be with next week, as I'm in Santa Monica walking around the pier with the staff from Cloud Imperium Games. Yeah, sun. Yeah, 60 degrees.
For
Yeah,
you.
but I'll be going out to Cloud Imperium Games to get a tour of the office and potentially get interviewed by them next week. So we'll see what happens.
We're sending you good vibes.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Kim.
I would give my shout out to Cranberry, but Cranberry has spontaneously turned into a laundry basket.
Miss Cranberry.
Cranberry is gone. She isn't here this weekend. Yeah, she is magic. Look at that.
Charlie, I want to go to Laundry Mountain.
Macy, please come back.
I know.
Baby, come back.
Also, I want to give a shout out to you ladies too, because I will not be here as well next week. I'm going to spend some time with the lovely Mama Lesbro. We're going to be at home. And I'm going to give a shout out to Tom, because it's his birthday. Zombie knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, shut up. Get your drink on. Get your drink on.
What is a cranberry?
Shots,
They want to know in chat.
What is a cranberry?
What is a cranberry? Cranberry. You wish you had one. Milkshakes to the yard, yo.
My milkshake brings a... What? We need to
I knew
stop
Pixie.
this.
I knew Pixie. All right, guys, my shout-outs. Who are they going to go to? Producer Ian. Shout out to you, young man, for back there manning that channel and putting up with us ladies.
A short
every
70-year-old Jewish guy.
Oh, that's our ginger bear back there doing his thing. So we appreciate you for tolerating the ladies like you do. I know you're married, but when you have 5 of us and your wife, it could be a bit much. So we appreciate you hanging in there back there. And I want to give a shout out to each and every one of you ladies, because this is a great show. I had a good time listening. I really was hanging out back here and trying to listen to what you guys had to say. There were some really good points and the really good topics this time, and I'm curious to see what we're going to have next week. And I also want to give a big, huge shout out to all 385 of our followers that we had this morning for iDarb. And if you haven't downloaded iDarb is free on the Xbox Gold store, and go get it because it is a trip. And
so cool.
It's so good. Kim's looking at maybe going to get herself an Xbox One this weekend. That's how much, just for that game. So I think I will be playing it every morning, somewhere between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. If you want to join me, hashtags will be flying, and I'll be having a good time. So that's it for us tonight. Roundtable out. Dance it out, ladies. Shake your groove thing. Shake your groove thing. Yeah, yeah. All right. Get your sexy on.
Oh, my
sexy
head.
on.
I'm bringing Fluffy back.
Yeah.
Grandmother penguins don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, we out. We out. I love that movie. It's adorable. We are off. So let me also make a note that Kimmy's going to be gone next week as well.